Many adults over 60 end the day with a clean, gentle dinner of salad, steamed vegetables, low salt, and very little oil. Everything feels right. So waking the next morning with slurred speech, weak hands, a faint numbness in the face, or sudden dizziness seems completely out of place. The mind searches for something to blame. Fried food, sugar, fluctuating blood pressure, or simply age. Yet the real trigger can hide in a vegetable trusted for years. As the body moves past 60, its inner rhythm changes. Kidneys filter more slowly. Blood vessels lose flexibility. Medication becomes stronger in its effects, and fluid balance turns unpredictable. A vegetable that once strengthened the heart at 40 can silently strain the system at 60 or 70, especially when eaten at the wrong time or combined poorly with daily medication. This fits the scientific data from the American Heart Association, showing stroke risk nearly doubles every 10 years after age 55, with more than 70% of cases occurring in adults over 65. Vegetables are not the enemy. Timing and compatibility are. The next section will reveal 9 familiar vegetables that can increase stroke risk when misused, and how to keep them safe without removing them from daily life. Given how easily timing can turn a healthy food into a hidden risk, evening becomes the most fragile window for adults over 60. Blood flow to the brain naturally drops during sleep, and overall circulation slows by 10 to 20%. Because the body signals thirst less clearly at night. Mild dehydration makes the blood thicker. Blood pressure reaches its lowest point near dawn, leaving the brain vulnerable if the vessels are already weak. Medication taken during the day can also peak at night, creating stronger pressure swings. With the nervous system in rest mode, vessels react more slowly, so any food that raises sugar, increases urination, adds acidity, or tightens vessels can disrupt this balance. That is why the same vegetable can be helpful at noon but risky at night, because nighttime is the most fragile moment for circulation. Vegetable number 9 is spinach, a food that can shift from helpful to harmful after the age of 60. Spinach offers iron, magnesium, and antioxidants, but it also contains oxalate, a compound that binds with calcium to form calcium oxalate crystals. Younger kidneys clear these crystals well, yet older kidneys filter more slowly, especially when calcium or vitamin D supplements are taken daily. As crystals accumulate, they can settle along tiny vessel walls, narrow blood flow, and reduce oxygen supply to the brain, creating silent nighttime ischemia. Dehydration during sleep or the use of diuretic medication concentrates oxalate even further, increasing risk for anyone with kidney stones, gout, or chronic kidney disease. Safe use requires eating spinach in the morning or midday, avoiding overlap with calcium or vitamin D, and monitoring kidney function. Harvard Medical School confirms that spinach is a high oxalate food responsible for more than 70% of kidney stone crystals, and the danger rises clearly in older adults. Since one vegetable can quietly raise risk through oxalate buildup. Vegetable number 8 is broccoli, which challenges the body in a very different way. Broccoli is packed with vitamin K, a nutrient that supports clotting in younger adults but becomes risky for anyone taking blood-thinning medication. Vitamin K can weaken the effect of medicines such as warfarin, Plavix, or aspirin, making the blood thicken or thin unpredictably. When broccoli intake swings from heavy one week to very little the next, INR levels can shift sharply, increasing the likelihood of clot formation. Adults with atrial fibrillation, a history of stent placement, or a previous heart attack are especially sensitive to these changes. Safe use means keeping broccoli intake steady each week, avoiding sudden increases or decreases, and informing a physician about typical consumption. Johns Hopkins Medicine confirms that vitamin K from green vegetables is one of the most common causes of INR instability in people taking anticoagulants. Just as broccoli can disrupt clotting balance through vitamin K, vegetable number 7 is romaine lettuce, which affects the body through natural fluid loss. Romaine lettuce acts as a mild diuretic, causing gentle dehydration that younger adults easily compensate for. After 60, however, the sense of thirst weakens, leading many adults to drink very little water in the evening. During sleep, this mild dehydration becomes stronger, making the blood thicker while circulation slows and small vessels stiffen. These conditions make it easier for tiny clots to form and trigger brief episodes of reduced blood flow to the brain. The risk rises even more for those taking diuretic or blood pressure medication. Safe intake includes eating romaine lettuce at lunch or early afternoon, drinking a small glass of water if eaten at night, and avoiding it after 2000 hours. According to the National Institute on Aging, adults over 60 experience a significant decline in thirst sensation, raising the danger of nighttime dehydration compared with younger individuals. Because romaine lettuce can quietly disturb nighttime fluid balance, vegetable number 6 is raw carrots, which strain the body through rapid shifts in blood sugar. Raw carrots break down quickly, sending glucose into the bloodstream in a sharp surge. For adults with prediabetes or diabetes, that surge almost always rebounds into a steep drop during sleep. When glucose falls too low, the body releases cortisol and adrenaline to correct it, tightening the vessels and creating sudden swings in blood pressure. If mild dehydration is present, the blood thickens, raising the chance of tiny blockages in small vessels. People who already feel lightheaded when standing often find these reactions even stronger. Safer use means avoiding raw carrots late at night, pairing them with fat or protein during daytime meals to slow absorption, or gently steaming them if needed in the evening. The American Diabetes Association confirms that fast-absorbing carbohydrates can trigger dangerous nighttime glucose fluctuations in older adults, since raw carrots can destabilize nighttime blood sugar. Vegetable number 5 is garlic, a food that affects circulation through the opposite pathway. Garlic contains allicin and sulfur compounds that naturally thin the blood. For younger adults, this can be beneficial. But in adults taking anticoagulant medication such as warfarin, clopidogrel, or aspirin, the combination can push the blood toward excessive thinning. When that happens, the risk of bleeding inside the brain rises sharply. Early warning signs include unusual bruising, recurrent nosebleeds, deep headaches, or unexplained fatigue. Individuals with low platelet counts are especially vulnerable, as their blood has limited ability to form stable clots. Safer intake means avoiding concentrated garlic capsules, choosing cooked garlic instead of raw extracts, and watching closely for bleeding symptoms. Research published in the Journal of Clinical Pharmacology shows that garlic can amplify the effect of anticoagulant medication and raise the risk of bleeding by 20 to 30%. Because garlic can push blood thinning too far in adults using anticoagulants, vegetable number 4 is onions, which create a very different kind of strain. Onions contain quercetin, a compound known to relax blood vessels and naturally lower blood pressure. For someone already taking antihypertensive medication, this double effect can drive blood pressure too low, especially at night when circulation is slower and the brain is more sensitive to drops in oxygen. The result can be dizziness, brief confusion, or reduced oxygen flow to the brain. Adults who take multiple blood pressure medicines are even more likely to experience these strong reactions. Safer use means treating onions mainly as a seasoning, choosing cooked onions rather than large portions of raw onions, limiting heavy onion intake in the evening, and maintaining adequate hydration. Research from Nutrition Research shows that quercetin can lower systolic blood pressure by 5 to 7 millimeters of mercury, and its effect becomes stronger when combined with medication. Since onions can drive blood pressure too low when combined with medication. Vegetable number 3 is corn, a food that challenges the body through rapid changes in blood sugar. Corn is a starch disguised as a vegetable, and it raises glucose quickly. Later at night, that quick rise often collapses into a sharp drop, prompting the body to release cortisol to correct it. This surge tightens the vessels and creates sudden pressure shifts. If mild dehydration is present, the blood becomes thicker, increasing the chance of tiny clots forming. Adults with high triglycerides react even more strongly, especially when eating processed corn products such as cornmeal or cornflakes. Safer intake includes avoiding corn at night, pairing it with protein or healthy fat to slow glucose absorption, and choosing fresh corn rather than processed forms. Research from Tufts University shows that corn has a glycemic index comparable to white bread, causing a rapid spike in blood sugar. Following the sharp glucose swings caused by corn. Vegetable number 2 is asparagus, a food that stresses the aging body through natural fluid loss. Asparagus works as a gentle diuretic, causing mild dehydration that younger adults can easily compensate for. After 60, though, that same dehydration becomes more intense at night, making the blood thicker and slowing circulation through already narrow vessels. These effects grow stronger in adults taking diuretic or blood pressure medication, because both reduce fluid reserves even further. Anyone who frequently feels dizzy in the morning is especially vulnerable when asparagus is eaten late in the day. Safer intake includes choosing asparagus at lunch or early afternoon, pairing it with water-rich foods to improve hydration, and drinking enough water throughout the day. Clinical Nutrition reports that adults over 60 experience nighttime dehydration at rates more than 30% higher than younger individuals, making timing crucial for safety. Finally, because asparagus can intensify nighttime dehydration in adults over 60. Vegetable number 1 is tomatoes, a food that affects the body through chemical triggers rather than fluid loss. Tomatoes contain histamine, tyramine, and solanine, all of which can cause blood vessels to expand and contract unpredictably. In adults whose vessels are already stiff, these sudden shifts can lead to dizziness, tingling, or headache sensations that resemble early stroke symptoms. The natural acidity in tomatoes can also lower magnesium and calcium levels, disrupting nerve transmission and heart muscle stability. When eaten at night, these effects combine to create blood pressure swings and reduced circulation, especially in those using stomach medication, who often react more strongly. Safer intake involves choosing cooked tomatoes, avoiding late evening portions, eating them earlier in the day, and pairing them with magnesium-rich foods. Research from the National Institutes of Health shows that solanine found in nightshade vegetables increases stimulation of the nervous system, particularly in adults with less flexible blood vessels. Following the way tomatoes can disrupt vessel stability in older adults. Recognizing the warning signs that appear after eating vegetables at the wrong time becomes crucial. The first clues are often subtle. an unusual heat or redness in the face, a dull headache, or a heavy pressure across the head. Some people experience brief numbness in one arm or leg, or a sudden wave of dizziness when standing. Speech may slow, words feel harder to form, and the heart may beat rapidly or pause for a moment. Even mild weakness on one side deserves attention. If any of these symptoms occur, especially after an evening meal, a medical check is essential. After recognizing the warning signals that can appear after an evening meal, it becomes essential to understand the 3 golden principles for eating vegetables after the age of 60. Principle 1 is timing. Vegetables that act as natural diuretics or contain fast-absorbing sugars should be eaten during the day. Those rich in vitamin K should be consumed consistently rather than in unpredictable amounts. And sensitive vegetables should not be eaten late at night. Principle 2 is hydration. A small glass of water after dinner is especially helpful when eating salads or water-draining vegetables. Principle 3 is medication awareness. Informing a physician about weekly green vegetable intake is crucial, avoiding self-adjustment of medication, and steering clear of concentrated garlic or green vegetable supplements without professional guidance. Once the 3 golden principles are understood, it becomes clear that vegetables themselves are not the problem. It is the body after 60 that changes. Kidneys, blood vessels, electrolyte balance, hormones, and medication interactions all shift with age, causing even healthy vegetables to behave differently. The key is no longer only what you eat, but when you eat it, how much you consume, which medications you use, and whether your body has enough hydration to stay stable. A salad at midday supports easy circulation, yet the same salad at night can thicken the blood. Cooked garlic enhances flavor safely, while raw garlic paired with anticoagulants can create real danger. Small adjustments made each day can protect the heart and brain for many years. After understanding how the aging body responds differently to vegetables, the medical recommendations become essential for safe practice. This information is meant for education only and should never replace personalized medical guidance. Anyone taking medication or living with chronic conditions should consult a physician before changing their diet. Regular checkups every 3 to 6 months help monitor blood vessels, electrolytes, kidney function, and lipid levels. These 9 vegetables are not enemies. They simply require proper timing and portion control. When eaten correctly, they continue to protect the heart and brain. Which vegetable surprised you the most? Share your thoughts to help other older adults. Remember to like, subscribe, and follow. Your food today becomes your memory, strength, and independence tomorrow.